Okay, so let's get rolling. When I am feeling better. I just had to take my wife to a doctor's appointment, so timing was a little bit sketch whether I get back to the school. All right, so let's go here. I had put up a video for your maps and things like that. You're supposed to build a map version of our department. So something kind of like this. I know it can be kind of tedious, but hopefully you did spend the time to watch the 1-minute video I put up. For example, if I want to, I don't know, let's just add another room here. So if I copy that, paste it, move that room right there. If you hit the V key and hover over a vertex, you can snap it to another vertex, making it pretty easy to lay stuff out. You need to be a little bit careful to make sure you have like your heights right, because sometimes you'll grab the slightly the vertex just slightly off, and you'll be on like you'll have the top of the ceiling bound to like the vertex at the below the ceiling on the guy next to it, so he'll be like a foot too low. But in any case, hopefully that helped. Get everything in line for you. Let's see, that was that extra room I put in, right? So we'll get rid of that guy. All right, and right now I have my sphere. Let me hide this. My sphere is drivable through my rooms. Might be helpful to have the camera angled a little bit different, but we can make this work. All right, now we know not all these rooms are going to have doors. I don't remember if we set that up or not. Give me a second. Let's go take a look. So if we open up one of our rooms, okay, we have not yet, but that's okay. So what we want to do is right now we have all these different walls, but we have these holes where the doors are going to be. So what we want to do is we want to have the ability, just zoom in on this one guy here. We want to have the ability to have this door either be there or not be there, depending on whether or not we are, whether there should be an exit in that direction. And we can do that programmatically. All right, so what we're going to do, well, we can do that by attaching doors to this guy and then just turning them on or turning them off. I guess that's probably the better way of doing it. So we're going to go ahead and give ourselves a door here. So we'll try to get something that'll roughly fit. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and look at the prefab specifically, our source that we used for this guy. because any changes we make to this source we can then apply it to everything else. All right, so I'm going to go and we're going to add some doors to our prefab here. So I'll go ahead and we're going to add a cube. And we'll move this guy to kind of the door. And what do I have for widths for these walls? They are, just 111. Well, we should be able to make them smaller than that.
Sir.
Yep.
That's the wall object, not the individual cubes that make it up.
Oh, the panels for it. No.
Yeah, each panel size is scaled differently.
Yeah, so that's the wall itself. Oh, and this is the 2 panels, not the door, right? So a panel, so it's 0.1375 on the thickness. 0.1375. That's for this cube. All right, we're going to be putting this guy we need to turn him. So we'll go ahead and hit our rotation guy here. And we'll just start turning him so that we can see what it's impacting. So we'll take this to -90. All right. Now we do need to make him a little wider so that he will fit into the spot there. Okay, it's gonna be reasonably close-ish. Let's call that decent. Then we need to make it taller. And then we'll move it down a little bit. And once we get a door right the first time, we'll be able to duplicate it over and over again. All right, let's call that pretty good. All right, so now we'll move this guy into position. All right, so just like I talked about before, we can hit V here and snap it to that vertex. Now, one thing we will notice there, though, is because my width is not quite exactly the size of that hole. If I turn here on the X, we're a little bit off, but I can then just tap it over. That's a little bit, just a little bit bigger. All right. And I think we're going to pretty much just call that good. All right, we're just gonna call that good. All right, we roughly have a door there. And if you want to mess with yours to get it centered a little better, you can. All right, we were gonna have our doors. We're gonna give it a color. So we'll go to our assets. We're gonna right click. We're gonna create a new material. We'll make our doors brown doors. And I don't know. Let's just call it that. So click the brown on there. All right, so now we have a door. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead now and duplicate that door several times. I've only done it once so far. Move it into the room. Let's just get it. So we do that. Remember, hold the V key to snap to a position. It's pretty handy. Hopefully you took advantage of that in doing the homework. All right, we'll pop that guy in there. We'll go ahead and we're going to undo the rotation. Get back inside the room. Oh. Oh. Trying to give myself a view where I can move that over there. Another one of those. Move that this way. I'm gonna kind of get it a little bit outside. That'll make it easier for me to deal with it, I think. All right. All right. I think I have doors now on all sides. Okay. So now that I've made some changes to my prefab, what we want to do, and those cubes, in fact, we can rename these guys doors. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's see, as we're looking at our room here, let's call this west door. East door. North door. south door. All right, so we have our doors. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this back arrow up here, take us back to our scene. Now we have made changes to our prefabs. So notice that all the prefabs now in there now have those doors. Now, one thing you can do is let's just assume that we go in here. I don't know, what am I going to do? Let's do this. Let's change the color of our ceiling to be is our ceiling green? Did green even have a thing? No, it's still white. Let's actually make our green green. Oop. Undo. We want to make sure we only click the ceiling of this guy. So I just randomly picked one of my rooms. I'm going to click on the ceiling. We're going to drag the green roof onto that guy. I'm going to attempt to drag the green roof onto that guy. So not going to make it over there. Can I do it here? Looks like I'm going to have to just go to the ceiling for that dude. I thought I changed the green to be green. Did I not actually click? Well, I've been putting this this green thing, I guess, all over the place. So let's back up for a second. Reset. All right, still have green. I'm just unpainting stuff green until I get back to, oh my gosh, how much did I do? What did you do? All right, well, we're just going to operate on this house. So I'll go to these walls. All those walls have green because it's on the top level. Or is it on the panels on the walls? Yeah, that's where it's at. It's the default. Oh, actually, I could fix it this way. So I'm going to just go to room 8 here. The one I had that's showing up is green. And if I go up here to prefab, I can go ahead and say revert all. And that will change that guy back to whatever my prefab is. Question is why didn't all the walls change? That must mean I changed my prefab. And I did. What did these guys used to be? All right, I want this just to be the default material for all of these other ones. Okay, then not just choose default. Just change it back to white. All right, so everything's back now. Now, what I was trying to do is I was saying, now you see when I change the prefab, changes I make there automatically happen out here. But what if I go in and I make a change to just one of the rooms? So if I go in here and I want to go to the ceiling, I'm going to be a little more careful here. I'm going to go ahead and take our green. I'm going to select the material for this guy. Where's my ceiling there? Select material, green. We need to make our green actually green. Why is that doing it everywhere? We're not on the prefab anymore. Oh, it is changing it. Oh, because I have it overriding. I meant to click ceiling, but apparently I'm not doing that. But in any case, I won't spend tons of time messing with this. If you modify a prefab out here, for each of these, when I hit room 7, room 8, whatever, and you go over here to the inspector, you see where it says prefab at the top. You can choose what you want to have happen when you make changes to it. Whether you want the changes to be a one-off on this guy, or you want the changes to have a permanent effect to the prefab. For us, we're going to have all of our rooms just be the same. So now all our rooms should have this green wall, and we're just going to say that that's okay for the time being. I'm not skilled enough at clicking on the right stuff. I say with this mouse, but potentially at all. So let's just say it's, we're going to say it's a work in progress here. That's fine. All right. But now what we can do is when we select one of our rooms, you can turn certain doors off. So if I go ahead and go to the top here, I'm just going to go ahead and expand all the rooms. All right, so this guy should only have a door to the north, east, west, and south really should be closed off here. Okay, so I am in, what room am I in here? Room 7. So for room 7, we're going to select the south door, the east door, and the west door. And I'm going to hit this little checkbox up here and turn those doors off. Well, actually, hold on, I'm lying. I only want an exit. I want doors to be there. I only want an exit on the north door. So I want to punch a hole in the north door. So I'll go ahead and turn the north door off. If I go to this room, also should just have a north door. So we'll turn the north door off. This room should have all the doors open. So we'll select all of the doors, turn those off. This guy should just have east, west, so north, and this door actually is not open. Well, actually, that is open in the department. So this room does not actually have a north door. That door, we can't travel into the room from there. So I actually want to have east. So I want east, west, and south to be off, but north still has a door there. Now you're going to see right now we can still go through those doors. We're going to be changing that. So this guy here should have a door to the north, the west, and the east. So we need to turn the south door off. Actually, no, we need to turn the east, west, and north doors off. So we have holes. All right. This guy should just have east, and just east should be off. This guy should have just east and west off. So we want north and south put back on. This guy should have everything off. This guy should have just west off. This guy should have just north off. Actually, which one am I on this room right now? So he should have north and east off. This guy should just have west off. This guy should just have west off. Which room am I clicking on? 5. So we should just have the west off. I already got that. We should just have the south off for this one. Just have the west off for this one. Let's see. Well, we didn't really keep the doors, Carson. I mean, we didn't have doors last time. We just had holes. So what we're effectively doing now is we're creating what's going to be a way for us to force the way you have to move through the department. Because right now, all of our rooms were designed to be able to move through every single hole. So now we're just opening up holes as kind of needed, even though they're not going to actually prevent us from doing anything yet. That's going to be what we'll do next. but we've given ourselves the ability to block our way when we need to. So we won't be able to go through doors once we're done with all this. All right, so that guy has the west open. This guy should have all of them open. This guy should just have the east open. This guy should just have the south open. Okay. Think I got everything, but there's a decent chance I didn't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to our actual player. Collapse these guys down. So here's our sphere. Let's just rename him to player. All right. So right now he's up there in that room. I'm going to reposition him in the main entrance. Okay. And we'll go ahead and run. Oh, I thought did I do everything except the main entrance? That's funny. All right, so for this guy, our main entrance, we turned the north door off. I made changes to this guy. Turn the north door back on. I turned it off. Oh, it is off. We're just seeing through. I think we're just seeing, no, we're not. Oh, I think we are seeing through. So this room here needs to have his south door off, and he doesn't. That's what we're seeing, is the south door there. So this guy had his door on his side there when this one was open, so we couldn't get through. All right, there we go. So now we're in the department, and you can see that, like I said before, with some of the snap vertice stuff, you can actually see how I missed the vertex. I'm up just above the floor, it looks like. You know, it's fine, just kind of shoddy construction, but you can spend more time on yours. Okay, so I'm in that second hallway there. So now I'm in the main hallway. We'll get to the 118. Here's 118 classroom. This is the computer lab over here. Oop, oop. Right. The lab is currently closed. I'm not skillful enough to get through the door. So, oh, made that one. Oh man, look at that door. That one's way off. Okay. So we've built the rough department there. All right, so now what we want to have happen is we want to start connecting our program to this guy. So our player, and now we're starting to say, we talked about MVC, this idea of model view controller, where we want to keep our interface, which we've been building here, separate from our controller, which is our code, separate from our data, which we're not messing with at this point. So we just have interface and code. So in our game that we were writing when we were just doing this in Java, we had the idea of a player object. And a player held on to information about a player, maybe his the current room he was in, stuff like that. So I'm gonna stop my game here so I don't forget. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a new script for our player. So I'm gonna go into scripts. Now I actually already have this object called player here. We're going to come back to that. You didn't see me write that. I pre-wrote that. All right. Actually, I'll just go into that here real quick. So if you go into my player class here, notice this guy is just a normal plain Jane Java, or in this case, C# object. That is to say, he is not a mono behavior. So he doesn't play by the rules where we have updates and things like that. So this player, this guy is not going to be associated with a game object directly. Instead, he's going to be something we create instances of. So what I'm going to do, and we're going to see that here, for our player, well, actually, before we do it for player, we'll just go in. Well, I'm already in the scripts folder. I'm going to right click here in the scripts folder. I'm going to create a new C# script, and we're going to call this guy player script. All right. And then I'm going to click on my game object that is my player. And I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to add a component to this guy. We're going to add a script. We're going to add player script. Okay. We'll go back into our code here. So here's my player script right here. So he is a mono behavior. So we have a start, we have an update. And what we want to do is we want to create an instance of our player object. So a player is going to have a name. Here's the constructor for it. It'll set this dot name equal to name. So this should look a lot like Java to you, right? It's C#, but I promised at the beginning of the semester, these languages are very close. All right. So I want to create an instance of my player inside of my player script. So inside a player script, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to make a private variable. That font a little bit bigger for you. This guy's going to be of type player. We'll call this guy the player. And then inside of start, we'll go ahead and say the player is equal to new player. And we'll pass in Mike. All right, so we're going to go ahead and create our instance of our player object. And again, this is not connected to a game object. This is not something we will visually see. Instead, we're going to be using it behind the scenes to keep kind of our bookkeeping. If you want to think about how we're going to accomplish this, is before, when we wrote our MUD in Java, we did everything through these generic objects like players and rooms and things like that. Well, now we have visual representations of those things. But in order to do our logic, we're going to have to keep track of what's actually going on inside of our game at any point in time, so we make sure the right stuff happens if we're kind of making that transition from our text-based MUD to our graphical MUD. So the player is going to know about the programmatic version of himself, which is this player object. That's the controller for player, whereas the game object that the script is attached to is the model, or rather is the view for our player from MVC. Models the code or the data. All right, and just clicking back to player here, do I have, yeah, so I have a get name for player, so he's able to get his name. So what I'll do here in the player script for update, I'll just print out the player dot get name every frame, which is going to be a lot of mics to the screen, but you'll at least see it happening. Okay, so now anything that has the player script attached to it, which in this case is just going to be our player, which is our sphere. He has a player script. And when we run, I'll go ahead and just put the console out here. I'll go ahead and hit play, and we're going to see that that guy is printing out Mike over and over and over and over again. Okay, so we're proving we have access to that object. All right. Now, if we go back into player here, we remember one of the things that a player kept track of in one of the things the player kept track of inside of his code was the current room he was in. So we had something like private room per room, something like that. So a player knew the room they were currently in. Now, in order to accomplish that, we're going to have to create a class for our room. So we can go ahead and at least start that process today. So I'm going to come out here, and you can do this just from the where I just was in Visual Studio, but we'll keep it all here inside of our script. So I'm going to go into scripts here. I'm going to right click. I'm going to say create. I'm going to create a C# script. We're going to call this guy room. Now, by default, room is going to get created as a mono behavior because Unity thinks everything that we're creating scripts for are going to be things that are attached to game objects. So here's my room here. Notice this guy was originally created as a mono behavior. I'm just going to take that off. He's no longer a mono behavior, which means he doesn't get a start. He doesn't get an update. We're going to have our constructor for our room. We'll decide what to put in there next time. All right. But what we just did is we now modified our code, modified our room object to be a normal object, not something that has that mono behavior ability that allows you to deal with what happens every frame, that kind of stuff. Okay. So I won't make this an assignment, but for next class, go ahead and bring yours up to date with your doors and stuff, because what we're going to look at next time is we're going to fill out this room thing, but we're going to attach rooms to our room prefabs, and we're going to have it happen where when a player goes from one room into another room, how do we make the player aware of the room they're currently in case that's important to us? All right, and we're going to do that through collisions, specifically through triggers. All right, questions, comments, concerns, bribes. I'll come out here to GitHub desktop. I'll say added doors, commit to main, and then I'll push origin. So my link should be updated now on GitHub. All right, I'm planning on being there in person on Wednesday, so I will see everybody then.
See you then, sir.
Take care.